So a long time ago, I remember having a roommate who shunned all religion and spirituality. She didn't subscribe to any church or any religion or any spirituality. In fact, she thought religion and spirituality was kind of evil because she said that when she was growing up as a child, as a Catholic, her parents would take her to church, and whatever the priest was giving, the sermon that he was giving her, didn't resonate with her. She felt that the religion was being shoved down her throat and none of it made sense to her. So she felt really separate for any type of energy of God, any type of energy of spirituality, any type of energy that is truly infinite within her, around her. That source energy, she didn't feel any of that because she felt so disconnected. And I related to what she was saying is because as a child, when people would talk about God or Jesus Christ, I always had this image of a man outside of me, some kind of a holy man that had, this supposedly had all this power, all this infinite wisdom and love. But I felt like I couldn't see it, smell, hear, or taste it. But as a child growing up, I always felt that there was something infinite within me, around me. Like I always felt this existential question about the meaning of my life, that there's something bigger than myself going on here. Even though I couldn't imagine or resonate with this God outside of me, I always felt some deep expansion within me and around me. I always felt that way. And so I think the reason why that I really didn't nurture any type of spirituality as a child, first of all, my parents were agnostic. They didn't believe in any religion or any spirituality. That was first and foremost. But secondly is because I always felt that God energy was separate from me, that was outside of me, that because I couldn't obviously smell it, hear it, taste it, or touch that God energy, that God, that it wasn't true, that there wasn't that infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite power that I could tap into, because it felt so separate. God felt so separate from me because I couldn't obviously smell God, hear God, touch God. I don't see God, necessarily parting the seas, or God necessarily, healing the disease. It's not apparent to me. So I always felt separate from it. And so what I realized about God is that God is not really separate from anything. There's this Hindu chant called Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. God is in everything and in nothing. God is in everything. God is in everything. And that really resonated with me, because the reason why is that without that God energy, nothing in this universe, including our bodies, including our planet, including our galaxy, the whole entire universe cannot come about without that God energy, right? Without that real pure positive energy of love, nothing can manifest. Nothing can be seen, can be heard, can be touched, can be felt without that God energy. So Om Namah Shivaya, God is in everything, everything. And that started to really resonate with me. And then I discovered that there was a real science behind this Om Namah Shivaya, that God is in everything. There's a real science behind it. I think that when we talk about spirituality or any type of religion, we always think it's separate from science. That science is 1 + 1 = 2, and that spirituality is this mystical thing that we can't even quantify. Yes, we can't quantify a lot of it. We cannot quantify a lot of it, but there is definitely science behind this Om Namah Shivaya, that God is in everything in this universe, within us, and all around us. So this concept of Om Namah Shivaya, that God is in everything, I believe is truly supported by our science. That science and spirituality are hand in hand. They are not separate from each other. And I believe one of our greatest scientists, physicist, Einstein, really supports this. He says the field is the sole governing agency of matter. I want to repeat this. The field is the sole governing agency of matter. So what is the field and what is the matter? What are those two things that he's talking about? Well, when Einstein mentions the field, he's really talking about this realm. This realm, which is 99.999% energy with these vibrational frequencies that have information in it. That's what he's talking about. This is the field. This is 99.999% of what the universe is. It's energy with information. Our body is 99.999% energy with these vibrational frequencies. The stuff that you cannot see, smell, hear, or touch. It's not bound by time, space, and our senses. Or some people call it the quantum field. And this field has infinite possibilities. So this field is not bound by any time or space. So it transcends linear time and space. It transcends it. And so what Einstein is saying is that this field is the sole governing agency of matter, of particle. This field is the sole governing agency of matter or particle, which is only 0.0001% of the universe. This field, 0.000% of our body is this. Can you believe that? 0.0000% of our body and this universe is physical matter. It's particle. We are mostly wave, energy. That's what we are. We're 99.9999% energy. And our body, the things that we could see, smell, hear, touch. I mean, if you touch your arm or your head or your hair, that's 0.0001%. That's all it is. And this realm is always bound by time, space, and our senses. This is the part that we could see, smell, hear, touch, and it's bound by time and space. So it's always limited. There's limited possibilities in this space. And this particle, matter, is completely dependent on this field. This 0.0001% is completely dependent on the 99.9999%. Think about that. Wow. So this is the truth of who we are, but most of the time we focus on this part of who we are. We focus on the matter part, not the energy part. So when we dissect this, what it really looks like in terms of atoms, because atoms is what really makes up the universe. The universe and our bodies, everything is made up of atoms, right? So when we dissect the atoms, we can see where the field is and where the particle is. So if we take two atoms, let's say, every atom has a nucleus, and then surrounding the atoms are all electrons. And the space between the nucleus and the electrons is so massive. This chart doesn't do it justice. This chart shows you like 1 inch space, but the space between the nucleus and the electron is massive. It's vast. And within that space, all the space around it, here, is all information. It's that 99.999% wave energy with information. That's what it is. It's the field. Everything in and around the electrons and atoms is the information, is the field. It's 99.999%. And this information is what informs the particles, how the particles will organize. So this nucleus is communicating with this electron. All the matter is communicating with each other based on the information within the space. It's all information driven. And so that's how your cells heal or get disease, is based on all this information in the atom that's being constantly communicated. Trillions of cells in your body are constantly run based on information, right? It's based on information in this field. It's constantly running a certain way. It's constantly running. Your body is running subconsciously, automatically. Well, your body needs information to run. And it's this field in between the electrons and nucleus that has all that information. And this is the area that people call God. You know, I see when people say God, I believe it's this. Because this is the space that has infinite possibilities. This is the space that has infinite wisdom, infinite intelligence, infinite love, where anything could happen. It's this 99.99% information field. And people call it God, some people call it Allah, some people call it, you know, the Holy Spirit. Whatever the word is, whatever the language is, I think that we are all referring to this infinite wisdom field. The field is the sole governing agency of matter. So really, where is our true power? Is our true power in the space of matter, which is 0.0001% of who we are? Or is it really in the space of energy or wave, the 99.9999% of infinite possibilities? So when we start to focus our energy into the 99.99%, because our energy flows where our attention goes, our energy flows where our attention goes. So when we start to focus on this realm, the 99.99% of energy, we start to experience infinite possibilities in our lives, as opposed to focusing on the 0.0001%, which is always limited. This realm is always limited, and it has finite possibilities. And so in the 99.999%, we're really tapping into our higher consciousness, our super consciousness, the part of us that has infinite wisdom, infinite intelligence, that infinite possibilities. That's what we're tapping into. Whereas in the 0.0001%, we're always staying in our lower state of consciousness. That's what we're doing here. Also, when we focus on this part of who we are, the 99.99%, we experience miracle healing. So sometimes, you know, when you see somebody who has disease like cancer or whatever, and they had a miracle healing, and people say, wow, it was God driven, it was because of God, God provided this healing for you. Well, the healing is happening in this space. So what's happening here in the 0.0001% is that you're always going to have limited healing. So when surgeons, they do surgery on you, or doctors, they see you, they're always working in this space. They're always working in particle matter. So they're always limited in what they can do for you, you know? And I'm not saying that doctors and, you know, surgeons are bad people. I mean, their services are very, very valuable. And let me tell you, if you have a trauma accident, you better go into surgery. You know, you better move the particle here. You know, surgeons and doctors have saved people's lives. I'm not saying that they're not valuable, but especially in the case of like chronic issues, when you have chronic diseases or issues, it's very limited what the Western doctor can do for you, as valuable as they are, and they've saved many lives. But when it comes to chronic issues, chronic diseases, you have to go into the 99.999%. This is what you have to do, because this is very limited. Also, when we tap into this space, we have unlimited beliefs. You know, oftentimes we have so many limited beliefs because we're looking at experiences in the physical realm and we see all the limitations. And so then we have all these limited beliefs about our lives. But when we start to tap into this space, we start to have unlimited beliefs, because we can feel the infinite possibilities of this energy. This energy is infinite possibilities. This energy can move in any direction. This information could be anything. So therefore, it creates infinite possibilities. But when we're here, it's always going to feel like limited possibilities, because when we see an experience in the physical realm, we see the limitations. So we're always going to feel limited. We're always going to feel like, you know, maybe in our career, ability to make money, our health, you know, having relationships. When we keep focusing here, we're always going to see the limited possibilities. But when we start focusing here, our consciousness starts to open up about the infinite possibilities of our lives. So therefore, when we start working in this space, we start becoming deliberate creators. Why do we become deliberate creators of our lives? Because when we start working in this space, we're now directing the information, right? Remember I showed you the chart with the information? We're directing that information to what we desire, to what we desire. We're directing it. We're purposefully, deliberately directing that information to what we desire in our lives. Whereas here, in this space, we become default creators. Because if we don't work in this space and we're not changing the information in that energy field, and experiences just come into our lives by default. So experiences that we do not desire just come into our lives, and then we call it random. Well, nothing is random in the universe. It's just that you haven't directed the information in the direction that you desire, and therefore experiences just come to you because you haven't directed it. You're not a deliberate creator. So in this space, you become a default creator, whereas in this space, you become a deliberate creator of your life. So I say that our true power is in this space, that we must focus our attention, our energy in the 99.99999% where there's infinite possibilities in our lives. So when I realized that my true power is really in the 99.9999% energy, the waveform, it blew my mind. Because for so many years, like many people, I focused on the 0.0001% of particle of matter side. And I realized that all these years, I should have been focusing on my true power, the energy, the 99.999%. So I hope that this show will have shifted something for you in your consciousness, and that you can start to really focus on where your true power is. Not on the particle, but on the energy waveform. So if you have a story about, you're shifting your consciousness, about where your true power really is, please share it with us, because your stories, experiences, feedback, and comments really help me and my community at large. And if you like this video, please make sure to share it and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to visit all of my spiritual and holistic living tips, just visit my website at yinandyangliving.com. Namaste.